experience with Justuno, which is really setting up pop-ups on your website to execute any kind of engagement or action we're really wanting to lead to that conversion, whether that's like money in the bank conversion or more on like the click side of conversions or lead capture. So really excited to talk today about trends with everyone. Would love to hear from you, Jason. Can you give us a little intro?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Jason. I'm the CEO at Andzen. We're a customer journey agency, so we specifically are focusing on how to create retention for your customers. So get more subscribers from the traffic that you're driving to your website, drive them to first purchase, and then obviously coming back for repeat purchases. And yeah, the main channels that we focus on are email and SMS. So we're a elite Klaviyo partner, but of course, Platinum, I think, Justuno partner as well. So looking at how you can create those on-site experiences off the back of your emails that are to create a really consistent journey for everyone.
Yeah, fantastic partner on the execution side. Thank you, Jason. What about you, Mike? Can we get an intro on the Tandym side?
Yes, my name's Mike. I'm in Chicago. I work on the biz dev side here at Tandym, which means I get to talk to e-commerce merchants all day long, which is a gift and a curse on an everyday basis. No, I love you guys. So Tandym is focused really in the retention space. Our founders all came from building private label credit card programs at some of the biggest retailers in the country. Took all the best practices from that world, specifically around segmenting out customers who are most likely to respond to rewards and loyalty offerings, and are bringing that into e-commerce with branded payments. So think of it as a unique payment option that's your merchant's brand that helps cut processing costs and offers rewards back to your customers. So excited to get into it a little bit later.
Yeah, same. This is a great perspective for our e-com world here. Lovely. And Bonnie, can we get an intro from you?
Yes. Hi, I'm Bonnie Pecevich. I'm the Director of Product Marketing over at Refersion. Refersion is an affiliate marketing platform to help you manage your, whether it's affiliate partner, influencer, ambassador, whatever shape and flavor you have. We help track all those conversions really accurately and in a reliable way so that you can make sure that you grow and strengthen your relationships with your affiliates. And yeah, I'm really excited to bring kind of the affiliate perspective to the different themes we have going on today.
Heck yeah. Thanks, Bonnie. I like your like wording about the different flavors. That's a great way to put it. And Teala, can we get an intro from Stamped?
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Teala. I'm the marketing lead at Stamped. We are a reviews and loyalty company. So we help e-commerce merchants build review strategies and loyalty programs that help you with short-term goals like AOV lift or order volume, and then long-term goals like customer retention, LTV, and kind of brand engagement and community building as a whole.
Heck yeah. You guys look at the whole picture in that world. I love it. Thank you, everyone. And then small note, we do have some special offers at the end if you're wanting to hang on, or we'll send it in the recording email that you'll get after this. We've got an agenda for today. We're going to get into the theme around segmentation, and then into behavioral intent, and then into identified and new visitor personas. So really excited to hear what everyone has to say. And then if we have time, we'll throw in some examples there, but you'll get the deck anyway, so you'll be able to see all of this. So we're going to start off with our first theme here and then throw it to all of our speakers today and get their point of view. And first off, we're asking where and how can we implement conversational messaging plus channel segmentation? When it comes to the Justuno perspective, it's more about these key touch points on site that we can target and provide really mirrored text, copy, or actions. And when I say mirroring, it's more about mirroring the campaign that someone is coming from, whether that's the exact offer, the CTA that you have, or just the kind of wording or brand of voice that you're using in that channel. That can go a long way. I think a good example of that is like if someone is coming from TikTok versus if they're coming from maybe one of your emails, right? TikTok, that can really that's a visitor that is probably more engaged. Video is not going to scare them. Maybe even gamification is the way to take that. So that's a way that you can insert more of that something that's engaging, but also using conversational messaging that is syncing with everything else that you're doing. You're applying that on site to get to that next action. So I think actions, I mentioned like maybe clicks, or maybe it's actions like signing up for your subscriber newsletter, but it can also be not necessarily these micro actions, but something like when someone is literally clicking an add to cart button, or after they've finalized a quiz, like that real time, okay, you just finished the quiz. What am I doing with that info right now to kind of build that trust up? So that's kind of the how and where for conversational messaging on site. And then when it comes to channel segmentation, that's where you can go kind of big or small with what you're presenting to these different channels or your different sources of traffic. And maybe when I say that, I'm talking about maybe you're presenting like a top banner for someone that's coming from email versus more of a corner or like in your face pop-up for someone that's coming from a paid ad, where you're already investing there. You probably want to be not necessarily aggressive, but a little more on it, and we'll get into it, proactive in how you're engaging with them. I would love to take it to Stamped. Teala, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so at Stamped, we're thinking about how do we collect you more reviews all the time. That's always a strategy that we're thinking about. Is we know that more reviews means more orders. So when you have one review, the stat is that you'll get like a 10% lift in order. When you move up to 100 reviews, you're looking at a 30% lift in orders. 200 reviews, 44% lift in order. So the proof is in the pudding of why you would want more. And then when you're thinking about the channels, that's where you can start to optimize your strategy to collect more reviews. So at Stamped, we offer email review requests. So you can send out emails automatically to your customers to ask them to leave a review about the product. The timing, the content, the iterative design of those is really important. But for customers who have opted into SMS, I would encourage you to think about SMS review requests. SMS has like a 90% open rate, whereas email, I think, is usually like between 5 to 10. We all know what our metrics are like. So being able to ask for a review in SMS and leverage that conversational messaging will result in more response rates. And where we see that come through is like oftentimes what we'll see is people come in not using Stamped yet, and they're getting like a 1 to 2% response rate for their reviews. Once they implement this conversational messaging strategy of email with really good content, really good subject lines, you're tailoring it, you're branding it, and then layering SMS on top of it, you start to see more of a 3 to 4% lift in those response rates. So that's going to help you collect at a significantly higher volume.
Heck yeah. You said something about, of course, we want to use reviews. And I've had plenty of clients where we're just like going through their reviews just on our own time and trying to pull how people are wording things and what they're just saying about, you know, your brand experience or the product or the post-purchase, and then using that like to actually speak to these different segments. So I love that. No, I just wanted to point that out. And then also A/B testing that, the type of copy that you're using on site to get those reviews. And it doesn't necessarily have to be someone submitting right then and there, but like, are you taking them to the right place, or are you just showing them kind of the right thing in the next step? Yeah, Teala. I've gotten a QA here for you if you want to take a stab at it, but it's what's the average number of review pages people travel through? Want to make sure the best ones, like those with pictures, are seen.
That is such a good question. And we actually just did a study of this at some of our top performing Stamp customers. So the average number is different, but the commonality is if people are filtering reviews, they're more likely to convert. And what I mean by that is, you know, when you're on a review page and there's like a search bar up at the top and you're buying a t-shirt and you can search like small or medium, those people who are searching are more likely to convert. So our number one tip is like, make sure that you have your reviews as searchable. And then for any photo reviews, we see those perform higher when they're at the top of the page. So some people will put their photo review widget at the bottom of a PDP, and it's not going to get engaged with as much if you just think of the nature of scrolling. Because if you put it at the top and then you have them be searchable right away, that's kind of your like sweet spot.
Nice. Do you see a follow-up on that? Do you see any differences in like that desktop or mobile approach? Or yeah,
a little bit. So with mobile, the searchability is really important, whereas the photos are less important.
Oh, okay. They're down to read. I love that. Thank
One
you.
study though, so take that with a grain of salt and test that on your own would be what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Great
Yeah.
follow-up there. Cool. Let's take it to Jason. What's your thoughts from that Andzen point of view?
Yeah, SMS is a really good call out. So we see a similar thing when it comes to reviews, and the reviews are actually a great example. Our average across the majority of clients that we've worked with, and we have actually measured this, is it's generally between 20 to 30% higher response rate when you send a review request via SMS than via email. So if you are looking to kind of supercharge things, SMS is a great way to do it. But there's lots of ways to think about creating conversations with customers as well. I think about even a platform like Refersion. We've done work with clients in the past with the Klaviyo integration that Refersion has, where we're categorizing different influencers or people, depending how the referral program is set up, and kind of tiering them and then creating different conversational experiences for them to engage with the brand. So if new people are registering, for example, you can send them obviously email welcome packs to kind of explain what it is to be part of the program, but then using SMS at certain times, if we can see that maybe they've dropped off in the number of referrals that they've done, or if there are other kind of common engagements that they're not making that you could be doing, SMS is a great way to just send something that is conversational and a bit of a prompt. One of my favorite examples of conversational commerce, though, was a merchant. So they sell dog accessories like harnesses and things like that. And they ran a campaign basically on a Saturday morning. I think it was something like maybe 9 or 10 a.m. They sent a text out to their customers just saying, like, who's at the dog park today? Send us a photo of your dogs. We want to like sort of celebrate all of your pets on social media. And so a really simple two-way conversation where, if you have a dog and you're buying, fun harnesses and things for them, of course, you're obsessed with your dog and you want them to get some free airtime on social media. So through this campaign, they generated a huge amount of UGC. They were able to post all day on their Instagram, just all these photos that were coming in. But then you think about every one of those interactions, they're tagging the person that sent the photo in. That person's then sharing the photo on their social media. You very suddenly can create a very viral campaign with customers who are your kind of key referrers, right? Like they're your best kind of word of mouth supporters. So examples like that, thinking a little bit outside of the box to use two-way SMS, not just that one-way outbound sales message, but thinking about, well, how do people actually interact with my products? And could I use a channel like SMS to create this two-way experience that creates that customer loyalty, but also, ultimately has a commercial end goal of driving revenue?
Heck yeah. Great notes on there, Jason. You mentioned like easier or something to go viral, which I think that's a great point. Like being able to have these conversations and conversational messaging throughout your omnichannel experience, it makes that easier to go viral for sure. And like less work for you in dispersing that to other channels. And something that just with the generation that's able to shop now and like different ways they're able to pay for things, it makes sense to speak to them a little differently. And then in that conversational way, that doesn't feel like, okay, how does this actually relate to a sale? Well, you're getting out there. It's more of that like real time referring. So I love those points. And then I'll also take it to just like in each platform that you're selling on, whether it's social commerce, anywhere else, like use those, like the chats, the comments to put your brand voice there too, which doesn't have to be so cookie cutter. It can be where you're a little more kind of loosey and like testing those different flavors, as Bonnie would say, of engagement and like wording that you have. Yes, I see some some pet sites in there. I love it. I would love to throw this one to you, Mike, from the Tandym side. Where do you lie on this?
Yeah, so we think about segmentation kind of all the time. I think one of the things that Branded Payments is so uniquely good at is really helping you segment out your would-be or existing best customers. And we mean that because there's enough friction in the application to join a branded payment method. So think of it as, opening up a store card at your favorite retailer. There's enough friction within there where if you're more of a transient shopper, or if you're not really dedicated to the idea of earning rewards consistently and spending those, or if that's not something that motivates you as a shopper, you're probably not going to go through that process. And so what you end up with is this really curated group of customers who've adopted your payment method, either because they're super rewards hungry or they just love your brand. And with that segment, you can then do a whole bunch of different things. I mean, whether it's like messaging them with unique sales, or just messaging them with, different reward incentives, it just kind of allows you to increase the LTV of that group in a couple different ways. But generally speaking, that's a piece that we've always been really focused on, is ensuring you're able to kind of segment out that group the best way possible.
Heck yeah, that's cool. I don't know if this is popular with your payments options, but I like thinking about segmentation and being able to maybe geo-target people that are in a specific city, maybe where you're seeing a lot of that use of like the custom credit card route, right? That could be maybe something that gets you into that conversational messaging, like, hey, everyone else loves this around here. Or you're just showing them like in-store options, thinking about omni-channel.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the goals we have as a company is we always think of it as like the really bougie boutique shopping experience. I've never personally experienced this, but like you think of the idea of the person who goes into the store and everyone comes and greets them, and their shopping experience is entirely different than someone who's just kind of walking through. And I think branded payments is a unique way to sort of open that gateway and say, oh, hey, we recognize that you have the card. You're one of our best shoppers, or you love rewards. So we want to make your trip through our site feel different than it does to everyone else, whether that's in, reminding you the rewards you have, letting you know they're worth double on this site. To your point, like offering you the opportunity to go into store and double your points. Those are all things that we think a lot about. And I don't think it's that far away. But to your point, I mean, it's these little unique pieces to make someone feel special once they've made the decision to kind of join the program.
Yeah, love it. Thanks for elaborating on that one. Cool. I know I want to hop into theme 2. I do see a QA in here that I think is more for you, Teala, about emailing in photos for reviews. Just a quick question here. Did they email these photos in? Just wondering how they submitted these photos for the company to use on their social media.
That might have been for me on the
Okay.
SMS, that two-way. So you can use this merchant was using Klaviyo, and you can set up two-way SMS in Klaviyo. So if people reply, that answer will actually show up in a section of Klaviyo under conversations. But you can also integrate Klaviyo with like Gorgeous or Zendesk. If you're using a help desk app like that, it'll create tickets automatically for you, and then your help desk team will be able to see the responses in there, and they would just download in the photos from there and then upload it into social media afterwards.
Super clear. Thank you. Cool. Okay, we're moving on. Thank you, everyone. Into theme 2. You'll see I have some examples here in the slide deck. Feel free to hop into those once you receive this in the email later. Second theme we're getting into is behavioral intent to watch out for to make your next moves. Next moves in conversion world. And we're thinking things like looking at higher price SKUs, or maybe if you're seeing a slower purchase cycle, things that are being bundled kind of here and there together. When it comes to Justuno and like that on-site experience targeting, there is kind of the classic behavior that I know our speakers will get into, like exiting, cart abandonment. And then you can get deeper once you start to ask not maybe the right questions, but more questions. And that can lead to targeting specific SKUs and kind of knowing anticipating what to suggest at that point with smart product recommendations, which is something that you can do in the same platform, all in the same in Justuno, so that you can create an actual experience based off of, okay, they purchased this SKU before, they're actually not subscribed yet, but they keep visiting and exiting, right? That's just kind of like behavior, and they're exploring on desktop and mobile. So that different behavior, like bouncing around and being and engaging in those different devices, is also something to look out for, so that you're not just like dishing out all your strategies everywhere. It's strategic. Then you're actually figuring out where like to spend the best time. And that's all from the data that you're getting. So I also wanted to get into kind of that real time of if someone is exiting your site, exiting, that's great, knowing that they're exiting. But for each brand, it's different. Like your top visitor on mobile, they may exit typically after like 5 pages versus on desktop, maybe they're exiting after 2 pages. So that will change your strategy and probably what you're delivering. Maybe it's more site navigation, CTAs in your pop-up, or it is more of like a quiz that is trying to keep them on site too. So that kind of behavior and just knowing like where they're at and that kind of cart abandonment exit will really help you. And then I mentioned bundles here, but just knowing that bundle can also lead to just you testing out different algorithms of products to showcase, whether it's like the top purchase, the most viewed, and testing out those algorithms. I think, Jason, you're the perfect follow-up on here. I would love to hear from the Andzen point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's 2 probably key areas that we think about here. One is something that you just touched on, kind of understanding their site, like how they're using the site or their site behavior to understand what messaging is going to resonate with them. So something that we talk to merchants about a lot, particularly merchants that have a really active blog section, or maybe it's a complex product that, you know, requires a lot of explanation. You'll often find that you have 2 types of shoppers. You'll have shoppers that kind of are educated already. They're looking for the product. They'll find your product. They'll land on the homepage or straight into a product page. You know, they'll do everything on the product page, and they probably would be motivated by a pop-up that is just, say, 10% off your first order or something like that, free shipping. But if you've got a portion of your traffic that is going to your blog page, your ebook page type thing, reading a lot of your content, a discount might be appealing to those people, but the behavior that they're actually showing you is that they want to learn, they want to be educated. So something that we do for merchants like that is have a non-incentivized content based pop-up to try and capture data instead. So, you know, if you have a product, you know, there are classic ones like weight loss, right? You know, lots of people are finding or getting told lots of different things. If people are reading content on your website about how your product helps them, some sort of ebook or something like that might be a much more enticing thing to get them to sign up compared to 10% off, when they're probably shopping at 4 or 5 different brands, are getting 4 or 5 different 10% off offers. But actually what the hook for them is a little bit of educational content that helps them make a better decision for themselves. So looking at your content, kind of part of your website, how much traffic you're getting, and creating some content focused pop-ups would be something that I would say. And then the other thing for us is that kind of browse abandonment or added to cart journey. We often see merchants will just kind of have a single automation set up for that. If they view a product on the website, we'll just send them an email reminding them to shop and maybe a discount as well. But you really should be looking at what are the products that they're looking at and how does that change what I might want to do. So for example, if someone's abandoned a browse for a product that's in your sale collection, you don't need to offer an extra incentive, right? It's already discounted. What you can do is send them a browse abandonment email that is really targeted on the fact that this product is probably low in stock. You know, it's already on special, so it's selling quickly, creating all those urgency triggers to try and motivate someone to shop in the moment. Compared to, say, something like if they're looking at a new release, again, that's like your fresh new product. You probably don't want to be discounting that, right? You want to protect the margin and you want to promote that at full price. But you have all the same triggers, you know, it's popular, it's new in, get your size before it sells out. You know, other types of messaging that you might want to use based on where they're shopping, rather than just having a kind of catch-all linear journey that everyone gets no matter what product they view.
Preach. Yes, I like that. Like, hopefully not like everyone is receiving some variation of an experience rather than the same old experience for everyone. I think one thing you touched on, Jason, is like objections. And I think that's a trend that shoppers are now more willing to overcome their own objections or overcome their objections on their own. And that is with these different types of engagement, whether that is like educational quiz, capturing 0 and first party data and using that. Like, they're more willing to have that kind of personal shopper with them. Love it,
For sure.
Jason. Let's take it over to Mike on the Tandym side. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I think one of the pieces that we spend time with our merchants on is thinking about like the next purchase. You know, how do we speed up that second purchase for a customer who's a part of the program? And so there are things that we like to do with them that are unique. I think Jason brought up, the idea of like the 10% off, 10% off, 10% off, it feels like that number has become it's so ubiquitous that it's kind of like doesn't really mean much anymore. And so how do you sort of play with the idea of what customers are used to in a way that feels like it's creating more urgency? And I think there's so many great best practices out there. I always bring up like Starbucks does this really well, where I don't need a coffee, but they tell me that if I buy a coffee before, the end of the day, it's buy one, get one free or something. And suddenly I'm like the most tired I've ever been and I need 2 coffees. Being able to identify, those types of moments for customers and say like, well, normally it takes 6 to 8 weeks for Mike to go and buy something. So what if we hit him at 3 or 4 weeks after the last purchase with some sort of offer? And one we really like to go with is, okay, we just put $5 or $10 into your Tandym account. It's sitting in there. If you use it before the end of the week, it's yours. If not, it'll expire. But like, is there anything else you want on the site? Or, hey, take a look at this SKU. There's a couple different offers we can play with in there, but creating that sense of urgency when sort of off cycle for a customer, just to see what you can get. If nothing else, I think what we found is it makes customers feel very special. Because again, they're getting this sense of, oh my God, this isn't something I usually get from a brand. They're not normally dropping money into my account that I can use there. Just sort of deepens the relationship, but in a way that can motivate some of these behaviors, which has been pretty cool. So I would say that's the big piece we're focused on.
Heck yeah, you're really focused on using data in the right way where it doesn't feel creepy, and feel like, why are you targeting me like this? No, it feels
maybe we don't tell them, we know you'll probably buy something in 4 weeks, but it's
that would be a cheeky way though, to be like, hey, you're probably gonna buy because we know at this point you're like gonna buy. That'd be funny. Cool. Let's take it over to Teala on the stamp side. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking about loyalty here, and I'm thinking particularly about one thing that I often see as a misconception is this concept that like a loyalty program is an acquisition tool that sits separate from retention marketing. And by that, I mean, when you have a loyalty program, you're often driving more conversions. The two of them are really tied closely together for that first conversion, because first purchase, you're in loyalty points, right? So people will have that as the concept of that's the behavior is I want more people to enroll in the loyalty program. And where we start to see gaps is when people are focused so hard on that top of funnel metric of like that first conversion, and people are starting to earn points and accumulate points. Maybe you have thousands and thousands of points building up, and then customers don't do anything with those points. We call that the points breakage rate. So it's basically a metric of how many points is a customer earning versus how many are they spending. And it's a metric to show engagement in your loyalty marketing strategies or your retention marketing strategies. And it's something that people come to Stamp for a lot of like, oh, I have this loyalty program in place. How do I get more people using it? Super curious. Bonnie, Jason, SJ, Mike, how many loyalty programs are you a member of?
Maybe 3?
3?
Maybe 3.
Yeah, I think like 2.
Max 5.
I think like all of that.
I don't know. With food?
Yeah, I don't know how many
like
I'm a
7.
proactive member of, but yeah probably.
Yeah,
like
you
5
nailed
to
it,
10.
Jason.
Yeah. That's so funny. So that's exactly it. Most people participate in like 2 to 3, but the average metric is most people who are like online shoppers or online consumers are in at least 15. And so being able to differentiate the value that you're bringing to customers with your loyalty program. And by that, I mean doing things like giving them rewards that they actually care about. Like, do people want free shipping? Do they want discounts? Do they want an experience? And asking them what they want is going to drive more engagement. And then the other thing is keeping it top of mind. You can have your points expired. They should be included in every single email. You can send reminders about them. Hitting those 2 kind of strategies to keep things top of mind and have things be more customized or personalized results in better performance over time.
Heck yeah. Great stuff, Teala. To Jason's point there, like sometimes you don't even know that you're in a program just because maybe you signed up for something and you didn't realize that was related. So it is on the brands to make it more intertwined with everything that you're doing. And that can also be kind of, I say easily done with a banner on site and just filtering that out based on the segment and making that a custom CTA based on their cart contents or what they've purchased before.
Yeah, I love doing that and turning the points value into a dollar value. Like you could save $10 off
Ooh.
this purchase with your loyalty program.
There we go. Yeah, that's perfect. And I don't know, does that feel something worth a test to you or pretty much? Yeah, love it. Okay, let's take it to Bonnie from Reversion. What are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, so you can definitely leverage affiliate marketing for the entire customer lifecycle and vary your messaging so that it's not just for awareness or education. I think we're really familiar with like influencers being a really good medium for being able to educate on a product a little bit more long form than an ad or something like that. But you can support messaging down the funnel too. So you can have them give a review or offers for repeat customers, promote the loyalty programs, and even promote the different your different strategies or the different details of the loyalty programs, and so on. So I feel like you can't necessarily like know the customer's behavioral intent who's going to engage with your different affiliate or influencer at that moment, but you can definitely broaden the range of your messaging for that channel to hit every different point. And so it can be relevant to the different type of shoppers that are that message reaches. So it's a nice layer to just help support all the other strategies and messages you have going on.
Heck yeah. To extend that into like maybe how can you track it? If you have an influencer or creative, you can set up their own coupon code for them. And then you can tag everyone that is using that coupon code as a segment to retarget with whatever that influencer is kind of bundling, whatever their campaign is talking about. So there are definitely ways where even like those unique, like who really knows where they're coming from, can give you some data. And if anything, just a really engaged segment or customer group that you can retarget later on. Fabulous. I do want to hop into our second theme, but I have a QA in here, or sorry, our third theme, but I have a Q. Oh, was it answered? Perfect. Okay, cool. So our third theme here, we are talking about exposing how to leverage alternative payments early and often. Maybe some of you can predict who's up next, but Mike, what are you thinking on this?
Yeah, we spend a lot of our time
Yeah.
talking about this. I think like obviously this is our bread and butter. Like there's so much going on in the payment space right now. I think people probably saw Shopify is increasing pricing on pretty much everything, but specifically on the payment side. So this is a topic that I don't think is going to go away anytime soon. For us, it's interesting because you look at the payment stack and really it's focused on two main areas. One is financing. Though it still grinds my gears when a company has like 3 different BNPL providers and they all show up on the products page. It's like, it's just a very, it's just a very shocking experience.
Yeah.
And the other is conversion. So obviously being able to get through checkout very quickly is important.
Yeah.
I think for us, what we see is there's a space in between those that appeals to a different type of customer, not necessarily someone who's really finance hungry or who needs to pay for their jeans over 6 purchases or whatever it might be, but for customers who are really rewards hungry. And figuring out a way to do that where it's both beneficial for the customer and the merchant. And so for us, offering rewards back to a customer makes sense because we're only charging merchants less than 1% per transaction. So we're decreasing the margin on what those rewards cost for the merchants that we're partnering with. And by placing that in the payment stack, that's obviously the way that we're able to do that. And so for merchants, it's a unique way to think about the different payments that they're offering. You know, you've got something for your finance hungry folks. You've got something for your customers who just are used to paying with PayPal every time, and that's what they do. But you've also got something for your customers who want to make sure they're getting the most out of your business, or who love your business so much, you know, they really want to kind of tap into the VIP experience. That's kind of what we're focused on. And then I think like best practices for us here, what we talk to our brands about is, you know, the ability to highlight these payment methods on your product page makes a lot of sense if you're able to do something like increase the AOV. So, you know, I'll never begrudge someone throwing a buy now, pay later on there for an expensive item, showing someone it could be cheaper if you pay for it over time. Similarly, there's a great opportunity to say, hey, we're offering double rewards on this purchase. And to Teala's point earlier, like that's $10 or that's $15 off on this item or in rewards that you can use on your next purchase. Like that really moves the needle for a lot of customers. And so all that to say, I think the alternative payment method space is going to continue to get more and more interesting, I think. But what I would recommend to merchants is, don't just focus on having something on the finance side. Also make sure you have something that's both supporting you with lower fees, but also appealing to a different customer. And I would say to wrap all that up, I mean, like we see like a 10% increase in AOV and a 15% increase in purchase frequency. So not dissimilar to what you see on the BNPL side. There's definitely an opportunity to affect customer behavior, just doing it in a slightly different way that, at least from a fees perspective, isn't getting into your pocket too deeply. So hopefully that's a helpful place to start.
Yeah, great stuff there. I feel like it's that this like alternative payments topic is a great time for brands to be selfish, and kind of think about, like you said, like putting more in their pocket with something that is also delivering a lot on that whole branded experience that I think I've heard just branded experience more on like that checkout time, unboxing and that. But yeah, payments, like where it's actually beginning, that makes so much sense. And then you talked about payments and like, to me, you were connecting payments to rewards and how that can tie in. And then loyalty and rewards, of course. And then there's also payments just like at the beginning of that lead capture phase, which you mentioned Shopify, they have Shop Pay. That's something that, like, if you are more worried about kind of just that initial friction, an integration like that is something that when someone signs up for the lead capture, they're able to already be signed into that alternative payment option. So it's through a lead capture, you can use that on Justuno. And that's something that even if they're not going to do Shop Pay, right? If you're presenting your branded experience later with that payment, it's something that they're able to kind of educate themselves on and not overcoming an objection, but filter to whatever works for them. I love that. Thank you, Mike. Let's take it to Bonnie at Reversion. What are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, so that's really interesting, or that ties in really well what I was thinking about having your own branded payments, because being able to expose alternative payments earlier, I was thinking more that you could make alternative payments part of your value messaging and your product messaging just early and bring that education early. And so it's something that's introduced about not just introduced on your product or checkout page, like way further down the funnel, but it could be something that's a differentiator for you if you bring that up early. And you lift that message higher up in the funnel, and it's part of the education and awareness stage. So for example, in affiliate marketing, you could have your influencers at the same time they're talking about that product, they could talk about how it's got flexible payment options, or if there's a preferred payment option, or just the different options around, to purchase. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you, Bonnie. What are you thinking on here, Jason, from the Andzen POV?
Yeah, I think a lot of these points are really good. I mean, from our perspective, buy now, pay later often really, or any of those kind of alternative payment options really come into abandonment journeys really easily, right? Like people are obviously thinking about a product, there's some sort of barrier to entry for them. But something that it can do as well is provide a bit of a point of difference when it comes to those emails. So if people are shopping around and you're showing that you have, a range of payments that you support, it can actually show a little bit of brand integrity there, that you've been in the market for a while, you've got options to shop, compared to competitors that might be newer or have less payment options. It can be a bit of an indicator of maturity in the brand as well. And obviously flexibility, right? Thinking about those different ways to pay, and how that actually kind of, these like extra layers of security that a lot of those payment providers can provide, it actually does give a bit of a sense of reassurance to some shoppers that maybe have experienced fraud in the past, that they might have a particular payment method that they can rely on and trust and use. So those are usually the areas, but yeah, I mean, obviously in terms of promoting it in the abandonment journeys, we talk about it sometimes in nurture journeys as well. Like I said, to build that brand perception, having an email when in that welcome flow that talks about the various ways to pay and explains the benefit of each of the options that the brand gives. It shows that the brand is thinking about their customers, right? It's just another touch point of saying, like, we've created or we're working with all of these different payment providers because we want to give you options to shop securely. Again, it's a bit of a point of difference to what you might find competitors are doing.
Absolutely, yeah. And with the payments options, you can also go maybe a little backwards with it and targeting when a visitor, like how much they actually have in their cart or how much they've spent all time with your site to see if it's like, okay, let me be a little more proactive then and show them my branded card and show them the benefits there versus showing them many options at a certain point. Great stuff, team. I am going to take it into our our fourth theme here, case study we can check out for anyone checking out the slides. So fourth theme here, key strategies to be proactive and reactive with your identified and new visitor personas. This one can kind of feel like a mouthful in how we address it. So however the speakers want to take this. When I'm thinking about an experience that's proactive and reactive, kind of like Jason was mentioning earlier, not showing someone the same exact experience is probably the first place to start. And that doesn't need to be a whole bunch. It can just be targeting your top or maybe low-hanging fruit customers and then expanding from there. You can be really proactive with these identified or new visitors by using geolocation triggers, syncing their mobile and desktop experience. And what that takes is you capturing email on mobile, capturing email on desktop. And from there, you're able to know when that person is logged in and where they're at in a journey, in an on-site journey from their engagement with your pop-ups. So that's like that proactive vibe versus if we get into reactive, to me, we're kind of getting into cart triggers. So as soon as someone adds something to your cart, what action are you showing them next? Or are you kind of just letting them figure out and click all around? And then for the identified user, that's all about using that zero and first party data. And you don't have to use all of it, right? Kind of asking the right questions and figuring out maybe what you do or don't know can lead to strategies, or just using strategies where the focus is around a metric like AOV boosting, customer lifetime value, which can get pretty broad. And when I think about new and what we can do on the strategy side there, I think about targeting based on the source, the channel, the campaign, really overall like the UTMs that you're using that can give you the ultimate experience. Just knowing that they came from a paid ad, you can have the perfect lead capture for them, the perfect exit offer, the perfect cart abandonment offer if needed, and a really awesome banner for their whole site experience just by knowing where they're coming from. And then I'll touch on just video being more of a trend we're seeing. I know a big thing is like, you don't want to slow down your site. Totally understand. That's where maybe this pop-up comes into play. That's based off of the visitor experience and what they're triggering on their own. So it'll load on their own time and it won't slow down a site at all. I would love to take it to Jason on the Andzen side to see what you're thinking here.
Yeah, so I think, I guess there's the proactive and reactive side. On the proactive side, something that we've been talking a lot to merchants about are quizzes at the moment. It's such an engaging experience, and it is a really great way for brands to create a version of an in-store shopping experience online. You can make them interactive. It doesn't have to be just text. You can have imagery in there. A really good example is a brand. They're an Australian brand. They sell bed sheets, but they have a quiz that's it talks you through what size bed you have, but also do you like prints? Do you like colors? But it's very engaging in the way that they ask you what colors that they like. They're talking about, do you prefer would you prefer this kind of picture or that kind of picture? Looking at prints versus block colors and things like that. And it does create this kind of question where you're almost dragging information out from yourself that you might not realize as the shopper that you have a preference on. And then, of course, you get those shopping recommendations, that product feed of recommendations at the end. But for the brand, you've collected pretty amazing first-party data. that you can use throughout everything, whether it's to create loyalty or even if they leave without shopping, to try and drive that initial conversion. So that's one thing that I would say on the proactive side. On the reactive side, one thing that we talk about is trying to use Justuno in a bit more of like an advanced methodology. Something that we look to do is if someone has, say, signed up for your welcome series recently and they've received a coupon code, you can actually use Justuno so that if they come back to the site a day later, 2 days later, rather than seeing a pop-up again, what they might see is a little banner drop down from the top saying, don't forget, here's your unique coupon code. It's a really good way to remind someone and make a really easy shopping experience. They can copy it from right there. They're not going back to their emails or leaving the site to try and find a code. So trying to create those experiences that just using Justuno, not just for pop-ups to capture email addresses, but trying to think about some of those more advanced use cases and say, well, if they've added this product to their cart, we could maybe show a product recommendations modal, or if they've tripped over the free shipping threshold, maybe having a little fly out that pops out and says, like, congratulations, you've qualified for free shipping. All those little on-site experiences that create a more interactive experience is something that sucks people in, right? And it keeps their attention and it makes them want to progress to the next stage or be interested in what happens next. And ultimately what we want to have happen next is that sale.
Heck yeah. Yeah, it's like personal shopper mode to the max, but the visitor can dismiss that. They don't have to engage like at any moment. So very much on like their terms. Mike, Tandym, what are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, first, Jason, I completely get not fooled. I totally get sold on all e-commerce quizzes. I feel like I fall for every single one of them. And then it shows me like, one of 3 products they have that's solving all of my needs. I'm like, man, they really know me. Like
You did it, yeah.
They just cracked the case.
Yeah.
I was like, I do like blue jeans. So yeah, the proactive reactive side. Proactive, and Banya, you brought this up, like for us on the branded payment side, like getting the options out to customers ahead of time, the further ahead in their shopping experience, the better. I think to the point I've made a couple times, like these programs, and retail is a great example of it. Like they draw in customers who are really interested in rewards. And so even someone who, maybe isn't going to be shopping for a little bit, when they figure out there's an opportunity to earn more, or to kind of like hack the system as they're probably thinking about it, like it's just a great way to get your brand back on their radar. And then, as customers join the program, there's a lot of customer servicing that's going on in the back end that we're managing. And so things like sending customers a monthly statement or, a points balance update that's coming from us and not from the brand. Just a great way, again, to keep our brand partners top of mind for customers. So they're sort of constantly being reminded of, oh yeah, I've got rewards, I've got cash I need to use there, or, oh, that's cool, I've got an opportunity to tap into a new SKU boost or something like that. And then on the reactive side, to the SKU point, one example that's coming up that I'm so excited about is unique ways to sort of take advantage of whether it's like seasonal or even like hot topics in media opportunities. So one example, we're working with a sports apparel brand that's focused on college athletics. March Madness is coming up pretty soon. I'm definitely going to lose my $20 that I put in with my bracket, but that's beside the point. One of the things that we're able to do with them that's both encouraging new customers to get involved in a branded payment method while also providing another incentive to existing account holders is, let's say like a Cinderella story, a 16 seed beats a 1 seed, or there's some sort of lower seed that continues to progress through this basketball tournament. We can highlight that brand's SKUs and say, hey, if you use Tandym or this branded payment option, in this case called home field pay, to make a purchase with that brand, we'll give you double or triple points. Like, it's worth more. And so you're incentivizing these new customers who, have never been to the store before, but all of a sudden it's like, wow, there's a great opportunity to buy my team's gear here and get rewarded for it. It's a really cool way to bring people in. And that SKU level support can be available for just about anything. And I think we love bringing those ideas to our merchant partners to say like, hey, spring break's coming up, let's make sunscreen have more value. So people are coming to you instead of going to Amazon for the billionth time to,
Yeah.
to buy more sunscreen. So just some cool ways that we think about it on our end.
Heck yeah, yeah. Those are so creative and engaging and things that you can track and understand performance. Thanks for that, Mike. Teala, what are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, I think if we're thinking about reviews are a proactive way to get new visitors in. And by that, I mean that they shouldn't just live on your website. Anywhere where people are bumping into your brand, they should be seeing social proof that your brand is effective. So by that, I mean turning reviews into like a UGC content pillar on your social channels. I mean, embedding them into your Google, to your shop page, to your Instagram shop, to your Facebook shop. Anywhere where you can show that you have that proof to support that first visit will help with that traffic conversion lift. And then once they're on site, it's about doing things like showing people the right reviews at the right time. So if I have a abandoned cart email flow, I would probably set up an integration with Klaviyo to send product recommendations of what were the products that people were browsing and what's the best review of that product that I can put in there. On the loyalty side of things, when you're really thinking about being proactive with it, it's about turning it into a content pillar when people first bump into the brand. Exactly what you were talking about, Bonnie, having it be more of a brand awareness. It's a component of a differentiating strategy as opposed to just something that you add on after purchase. And one of my favorite tactics for that is obviously you have the education, you can brand it, give it an amazing name. One of our customers is Lilac Street, and they sell eyelash extensions, like DIY eyelash extensions. And they've named their loyalty program about their friendship and their community and all of those pieces. And they've given a really big first bonus to people for when they sign up. And you don't even have to make a purchase to join that type of loyalty program. It can just be more engagement based. So that's one way to kind of nurture those new customers before they make a purchase, is having them participate in your brand with things like following on social or subscribing to a newsletter leading up to a purchase.
Yes, great examples. Bonnie, what are you thinking on that after hearing us all?
Yeah, so you can be both proactive and reactive with your affiliate programs. Reactively, you can really lean in to your target audience, the audiences that you know, since there's so many specific niche audiences within that affiliates cater to and all the different type of contents and influencers that are out there. But proactively, you can also take the initiative to experiment or test new audiences or messaging and do it in a pretty safe and like have their boundaries around it, scale to the scale that you want it, and discover if, your message or product resonates with that new or experimental audience. One really fun example that we've talked so much about over the holidays, after the holidays, was the viral Stanley Cup. That their new audience that they went for were women, and they just fully doubled down on reaching that audience through affiliate marketing. And clearly they blew it out of the water. So yeah.
That's awesome. I love that you brought the Stanley Cup one up, because I saw so many videos over the holidays of like little girls, probably typically they were getting like the older version, or that big green one that is like not the new and like beautiful, but they're like, what is this? And it's like, that's a Stanley Cup. So it's like kind of funnily, they're getting that exposure into other products in their lineup too. So that was pretty cool. Heck yeah. Excellent. So we're at 1 minute. I'm going to go ahead and hop into our final slide here. Let's see. That's not the final slide. Cool. So we're going to get into just some special offers here. And we're going to say thank you to everyone. But we've got a conversion audit from Justuno that if you just mention this webinar to someone you're speaking to at Justuno and want to get started, we can take a look at your site, dive into it. And that can just be something we do for you. You don't need to be a client. And then from the Tandym side, we've got a free loyalty audit coming at you, mentioning this webinar when you're speaking with them. And from Stamped, we've got 2 months free when you book a demo before the end of the month. So if I were to combine all of these, you're getting so much insight, so much zero and first party data that you can have strategies for the rest of the year kind of getting with this. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. I also threw everyone's LinkedIn into the chat if you want to connect with anyone. But thank you so much to the speakers. You guys were awesome. I love the conversation. Everyone will get the recording of this, so you'll be able to recap on your own or reach out if you have any questions afterwards. Thank you, Jason. Yes, we have a free customer journey audit, and we have an email there.
Yes.
This. You got it.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, if you're interested, they're generally 20 to 30 pages long, full review of everything that you're doing, from data capture to email and SMS.
Amazing. Thank you all for those offers. This is a really great setup to lead someone into Q2, I feel. So we'll let you go. Appreciate your time and hope everyone has a wonderful day.